Bob, against South Dakota State, the first half could not have been any different when you divide up the two quarters. Scoreless in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden a scoring barrage in the second quarter.
Yeah, it's amazing. You get two really good offensive football teams together, and the first quarter was all about defense.
Yeah.
And both defenses played well, did a good job of getting the offenses off the field. And then I thought both offenses picked up momentum there in the second quarter and took advantage of scoring opportunities.
An anxious set of moments for your club. You give up a field goal, then you come around and Chris Treveler throws an interception on the very first play. And the next thing you know, you're down 10-0. Was there any worry at that point?
Well, yeah, there was no panic, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We knew there was a lot of football to play, and I knew our guys were going to compete all 60 minutes, and I think we showed that competitive spirit by getting the ball in the end zone and getting the scoring gap closed back, and then it was a battle from there on out.
Your offensive line did a fantastic job during that first half, Bob. I mean, they opened up some huge holes for Mike Frederick.
Well, we did a good job, I think, offensively of taking what they were giving us. They played coverage, kind of dared us to just run the football, and our front guys did a good job of getting people covered up. I thought our backs ran hard. We made some people miss at the second level and turned what would have been 6-7 yard gains into longer plays.
But opportunities missed, again, a theme and a loss for your team this year. You hold them, but you get an interception, you can't convert there. You stop a field goal, can't get points off of that. And then some penalties really hurt you as well.
Yeah, we had a drive there where we picked up a couple of penalties that took us out of scoring position, and those are the kinds of things that have hampered us a little bit. We've moved the ball pretty well here the last 3 weeks, but haven't put the number of points on the board that we've needed to put on the board. And some of that is execution at critical times. So I think we've got some areas that we can certainly improve on in that regard as we head into the playoffs.
Dakota Allen really had a nice game for you on Saturday.
Yeah, a guy that's come on in the second half of the season. Played a little bit as a true freshman, was hampered a little bit earlier this year with an injury that slowed him down. A guy that's got great athletic ability. You can see that in the way that he competes for balls in the air or those 50-50 kind of balls, and a guy that I think we can utilize more and more as we head into the playoffs.
And again, down the stretch, when you needed a big play, unfortunately, you turned the ball over and really put your offense behind the. I mean, time was really running out, and you really needed to convert late in the game.
Yeah, we had that drive when we're down 2 scores, down 10 points. We had the drive down deep into South Dakota State territory, and any score there gets the game back down to a 1-score game. And unfortunately, Mike Frederick, who had a great game, picked up about an 8 or 10 yard gain and put the ball on the ground. And our defense came out, we got the ball back, but by the time we got the ball in the end zone, it was a situation where it was going to force us to have to recover an onside kick.
Let's talk about Chris Treveler and his hand. How banged up is he? I mean, obviously Chris has taken a lot of abuse over the years. A lot of guys have it, but what's his status going into this game this week?
Yeah, well, the good thing is, he came out of the game without having done anything to aggravate the hand, and so, we fully expect that to continue to improve this week. And that him to be a lot closer to 100% than he was last Saturday.
So as I'm sitting there watching the selection show on Sunday morning, Bob, I'm thinking to myself, what's more nerve-wracking as a head coach, to turn your fate over to 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, or to turn it over to 10 strangers in a room somewhere who are going to decide whether you play in a postseason berth? What's more nerve-wracking for you?
Honestly, the latter. Sitting there with our guys and understanding that the decision that the committee's going to make is going to leave some teams out of the opportunity to play on, and knowing that by not winning that game on Saturday, we were squarely in the fate of the committee. I certainly felt that if we had won Saturday, we we would definitely have gotten a berth. And so as you sit there and you see teams' name pop up that you think, boy, I thought maybe we were a little bit ahead of them, or it became pretty nerve-wracking, and that's why it was such an emotional moment for, I think, everybody in the room that we were watching together when our name popped up.
Well, and it comes right down to it. You have an FBS win. You have a win over Western Illinois this year. They're on their way to the playoffs, and you also play in the toughest conference in the league, or in the country, and you've got losses against quality opponents. And it's nice to see the committee actually took some of that into consideration.
Yeah, we felt our case was strong based on the way that we had played, but it's so difficult. And I've been on national committees at the Division II level, and it's really difficult because you're weighing schools that don't play each other or don't have much for common opponents, and the strength of our league has carried a lot of weight in recent years, and that's due to the fact that our league does very well in non-conference play, and it was good to see all those factors be factors that were recognized by the group that made the playoff selection.
Bob, as a coach, you have so much postseason experience, so how much do you try to do a crash course on this opponent you've never, ever faced before, and how much at this stage of the game do you just got to do what you got to do?
Well, it is. You always want to focus on the things that you do well. I think playoff football is a little bit different. Playoff football, you've got to do a great job defensively, and you're always going to work from an offensive standpoint to find the things that you do that match up best with the defense, but that you're facing. But it's really about playing close to your best and taking care of the little things, the things like turnover margin, being sound in the kicking game, and refining those things that you can do in very short preparation time.
Nicholls State is an interesting team. They've had some injuries to the running back position, so they've had to rotate a lot of guys through that position. They've had 4 different guys gain over 100 yards in a game this year and really have come on, especially the last couple of weeks, nearly 650 yards on the ground. So this is a team that's pretty obvious. They're going to try to establish the run against you.
Yeah, they're offensively, they're a team that prides itself on being able to run the football, control the pace of the game. Their quarterback is a dual-threat type quarterback who can hurt you with his feet as well. It'll be a challenge for us, and that challenge will have to start with containing that running game.
And when they do throw the ball, again, they spread it around like you guys do, 7 players with 30 or catches or more, and so there's a lot of different options on this offense.
Yeah, they've got good perimeter players, and that's the challenge. They're not a one-dimensional football team, and so we've got to continue to be the kind of defense that we were on Saturday, and hopefully put them in positions where they get behind the sticks on third down.
One number jumps off the page when you look at them, -10 in turnovers, but they've lost 12 fumbles this year, Bob. Did any of that show up on the film work that you saw in terms of tendencies, in terms of how they're able to turn the ball over so many times?
Not really. I think, it's just, one of those things when you're playing a lot of people, and obviously one of the things that we've got to do is see if we can force some turnovers to generate some short field opportunities.
Defensively, they've got guys that get to the quarterback. They've got 4 guys that have 5 sacks or more, and so very, very active up front.
Yeah, really impressed with their defensive front and their defense overall. Extremely athletic defensive front, different than some of the fronts that we've faced this year. And so, one of the keys for us is being able to have enough balance that we don't get ourselves in third and long when they can turn those pass rushers loose.
8 different guys with interceptions this year. How much of that is their coverage, and how much of that do you see comes from the pressure up front?
I think it's a combination of both. They're very active. I think you look at their team and they have really good athleticism at all levels on defense. One
of the first things you said to your team Sunday after you got in was, "Hey, we're 0-0. We're like everybody else at this point. Let's wipe the slate clean. Let's forget about what's happened to get us here, and we are starting from square one once again with everybody else."
It's playoff football. It's all about week one right now, and you win, you keep going, and you don't, you're done, and that's the mentality that you have to have going into every week.